What's up YouTube, it's Ben, and in this video, I'm going to be answering the question, should you start out by working at a recruiting agency or starting one? All right, guys, so I really appreciate you checking out my YouTube channel once again, and I want to dive right in and cover this question because it is paramount, and a lot of people have a hot debate on this, on whether you should go work at a recruiting agency and basically train for 1 to 3 years and then maybe start your own agency, or can you just start your own agency and start making revenue right away? Which one is it? What's best? And what my thoughts are for you. So here's the deal. I'm going to spare you all of the fluff and I'm going to give you my answer right now. Absolutely 100%. I think you can start your own recruiting agency on your own and start making revenue within months and scale that agency to 6 figures and beyond. And I have proof of concept of that because I teach students how to do exactly that in my program. Now, of course, the opposing viewpoint is that one should go actually work for an established recruiting agency for 1 to 3 years even, which I consider to be a very long time. All of this with the goal of ultimately having your own recruiting agency, being the boss, running it 100%, and maybe even hiring on some VAs or staff, a team around you to scale 6, 7 figures, that sort of thing. Now, with that being said, as that being the goal, do you really need to take that 1 to 3 year span to learn at an agency, or can you start that off from scratch? There's a lot of reasons why I have my viewpoint and exactly why I see it the way I do. Number one is because I've actually done it myself. So doing it yourself has a whole different perspective than just looking in as a third party and thinking, well, it might be better if you go off and train somewhere where you can actually learn from people that are doing it around you, yada, yada, that sort of thing. All that's fine and great. And I kind of understand that perspective if you think in that way. My counter argument to that is that you don't need to do that, because if you can think like an entrepreneur, you're able to hack it out and actually get things going and get revenue going off the bat without spending 1 to 3 years of your life working for someone else, whether it's after college or whether you're middle-aged or wherever you're at. You still don't need to do that. You can use a training program, you can get information, understand how to do this, and do it on your own rather than suffering really through working for somebody else like you don't want to be doing already, and basically coming out with pretty much the same knowledge or maybe even less than you would have if you had just done it on your own. The reason I say that you'll probably come out with less information and less of a sense of being an entrepreneur is that at an agency, they're probably going to put you in 1 or 2 spots. That one will be client development, the other one will be candidate development. So you're either going to be in business dev or you're going to be a sourcer. Now, if you take my route and you understand exactly what I did in my story, going straight from scratch, cold emailing, beginning the search, right, and getting clients off the bat, and basically just setting up a blueprint for exactly how this goes, you understand everything about the process, every bell and whistle that you need to know, and every single nook and cranny of the entire market. Now, when you do that, you learn slowly, but you learn for yourself. So you learn how to own the process rather than having the process own you, aka when you work at an agency, they're sort of owning you in the sense that they're only showing you, one side of the equation, not the full picture, not the full desk. I really believe that one of the biggest falsehoods out there is that you're going to get some amazing education or some incredible experience by working for Robert Half or Aerotech or wherever you work. And trust me, I know plenty of people that currently work at those establishments and have worked there, and they don't get that experience. They don't come out as stellar recruiting entrepreneurs, which is what you want to be, probably if you're watching this video. And if you want to be that, that's exactly what you should do first, rather than going through that apparatus to get there. So just to drive that point home, I don't think it's necessary whatsoever to step foot into one of those organizations and be at an agency, be at a company where you're going to be trained on only kind of one thing and not see the full picture. Another major factor in why I believe what I believe about starting a recruiting agency on your own from scratch is time. time is finite. It's precious. It's money. We don't have a lot of it. So if you ultimately want to be an entrepreneur that runs your own recruiting agency, why not do that, right? Get into it. Just jump right into it. Learn while you go. Have your 9 to 5 if you're still in that, but part-time, be on the recruiting agency, right? And many of the people that I work with do just that. And they have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 pipelines. I just don't understand why somebody would want to spend even 1 year, let alone 3 years, working at an agency for some credibility factor or some training that ultimately you're really going to get more so just by doing everything on your own, getting started right away. It just doesn't make sense time-wise. In that 1 to 3 years, you could have potentially made $1 million, and that's in literal sense. Reference my video with Cody Parker. That leads me into my really big element of this, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to be thinking like an entrepreneur to be able to do this. If you can't think for yourself, if you can't execute on your own, if you need someone to kind of guide you around and show you and basically be your boss, right? Because you can't really do things on your own, then that's the route you have to go. And ultimately, if you do go that route, that's probably where you should stay. It's probably not something that you should do on your own. I think that people that can start off on their own, get revenue on their own, and scale that should take full advantage of that. If you are not one of those people, though, I just think that you should stay at the agency and make your career there, because it seems like you're a person that needs to be a W-2 employee that can't really run your own agency, and you probably shouldn't be once you get out anyways. It wouldn't seem like you would have the drive to go after it. I think people that go for it from scratch, those are the people that have the drive for 6 figures, 7 figures, and scaling. I'm super passionate about this because, like I said, I teach and work with students that are doing exactly this right now with 0 recruiting experience, that are literally making their first placements in 4 weeks after just a little bit of training. And after that, they're building a huge pipeline and scaling that pipeline. Don't get me wrong, I totally get there's a lot of opposition to this concept. People just resist the idea of, well, I couldn't do that. I can't start from scratch. But to be honest with you, you're only thinking of your limiting beliefs. You're only playing small. You're only thinking about what you're programmed to do, not outside of the box, or the fact that the box doesn't actually exist. One of the biggest factors here, I think, is aptitude. And I think if you have the aptitude to be a self-starter, someone that's motivated, someone that is able to just learn as they go, that's the type of person that can really get into it before working for somebody else and getting out of working for somebody else. And I think that's a goal for a lot of people. And that's why a lot of people do this from scratch and on the side and then full time, because that's exactly what they want, the financial freedom, and they want to jump out of that 9 to 5 job. Now, one of the biggest advantages that anyone has from starting a recruiting agency rather than working for a recruiting agency is that you understand how to run a business, right? You don't just understand how to be an employee at a business. Big difference, right? With that being said, of course, somebody that understands how to run the business and also recruit is going to be 10x further along the line than somebody that's fresh out of Robert Half, fresh out of Aerotech, or whatever it is. They're going to be able to run their business and be successful while also doing recruiting and staffing. Really, just to summarize, I think that there's so many factors that go into why you should start your own recruiting agency rather than work for somebody else before you do so, that there's just too many to even count. And there's way too much proof of concept that this works just by training alone for a couple of months to be able to actually get off the ground, start making revenue, really own the business, know the business, and scale. The next time that anyone ever mentions working for an agency before you start your own, I would definitely think 3 times about that and say, nope, definitely can do it on my own, because you can. Hey, if you found this video valuable, please smash that like button, as well as subscribe. If you're not a subscriber already, hit that alert button as well so that you know every single time I come out with a brand new video. Until then.